Hi everyone, here I wanted to discuss once more the shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the movie set of Rust by actor and producer Alec Baldwin. Before it goes to court in February or March, he decided that it would be a good idea to give an interview with George Stephanopoulos on ABC. Based on his body language, his nonverbal communication, we would like to understand whether he really shot her on accident, whether there was criminal negligence or even intent, and whether the remorse he displayed during the interview was sincere or if he just acted a part. Okay, let's get started.
Alec, thank you for doing this. You haven't said much in public since.
He's scratching his hand or playing with his cufflinks, so he's certainly a bit nervous.
Since that tragic accident. Why speak out now?
He has pursed lips or puckered lips. So that's the opicularis oris contracting. That's in a sense saying that he disagrees, that he's performing an alternative verbal reply. So in this context, it probably just means he has some calculated thoughts, there's some scheme he's developing.
Well, I think that there's a criminal investigation. That could be a while. There's all kinds of civil litigation. And I felt there were a number of misconceptions, most of it from sources I really wouldn't concern myself about, but a couple that I did concern myself about, where there were these authoritative statements about this is what happened. The sheriff.
So we notice immediately there's background music. It's a highly edited stage production. This is not a spontaneous interview.
Sheriff's Department hasn't even released a report.
We get a suspicion immediately that Alec Baldwin is just playing a part here. And we see this because there's no mirroring of the interview in terms of body language. George is leaning back, chewing on his glasses. He has a relaxed demeanor, while Alec Baldwin is sitting at the edge of his seat. And my suspicion is that he wouldn't be able to do his act if he would mirror him, because then he would be too relaxed and he wouldn't be able to do what he does. He has to be in the right state of mind. He has to be on the edge. So mirroring behavior is if one person subconsciously imitates the gestures, speech patterns and attitudes of another. That way, with the mirroring we build rapport and we show a connectiveness to the person we are with. We stress the similarities. We want to be close with someone. We see none of this here. So we see he's running his own agenda. So the fact that he's not displaying social mirroring in such a stressful context where we would like to be close to someone, that could be counted as a sign of a narcissist or egomaniac. So this shot says it all.
The Sheriff's Department hasn't even released a report to the DA yet. The reason I wanted to sit down with you is because I really feel like I can't wait.
Here we see signs of anger, but this is somehow his macro expression already, so he looks always a bit like that. So here's an example where micro expressions eventually over the years turn into macro expression, behavioral traits.
There's two things I want to say about that. One is that when I talk about this, my concern is that I don't sound like I'm the victim.
So just that he speaks it out, the ending of his sentence, sound like the victim, that is on his mind. Indirectly or subconsciously, or maybe planned, he wants to sound like the victim. That's what it's saying. He wants to put the seed in the public's mind that he's also a victim.
Because there is a victim. There's a woman who died. And my friend got shot. He's my friend. And she was a new friend. I met her and we worked together on some of the mapping out of what we're going to do on the film, which, in the movie terms, if you go make a movie with Scorsese, you and the DP don't sit down and they solicit your ideas of how to make the film. You know what I mean? In the case of Halyna, we sat down collaboratively and talked a lot about what we wanted to do in that a precious amount of time we had. But I want to make sure that I don't come across like I'm the victim, because we have two victims here. And the second thing is that all...
So again, he's stressed. He doesn't want to come across as a victim. By saying it, he comes across like the victim.
All of what happened on that day leading up to this event was precipitated on one idea, and that is that Halyna and I had something profound in common. And that is we both assumed the gun was empty. Other than those,
So here was a lot. So he first says he doesn't want to come across as a victim, but then he says he has lots in common with her. So they are now a unity that makes him partially the victim. And there was a dramatic pause. So we see, of course, these 2 points, these framing points, we set out very early. This was a planned agenda. Yeah, he prepared these 2 items.
Has many false starts, you know. I mean, and when it finally goes, and you feel like a plane. And when you finally get some lift under your wings, it's very, very gratifying.
Very dramatic language again. So he's acting here at that moment.
I am a purely creative producer.
So there's some disbelief in the interviewer's face, yeah? Mouth opens, it's a bit of surprise, he's chewing on the glasses, but he has this expression of disbelief and surprise. So even though we are not in the same room with Alec Baldwin, we can see the reflection of the situation on the interviewer's face here. And so he's not buying everything. That's very interesting.
I don't hire anybody in the crew.
Not even the cinematographer, no one?
No, but he will apprise me of what he's doing.
So by explaining all these details, how the producer or his role works, by doing these corrections, he's correcting the interviewer even. So here he comes across as meticulous and knowledgeable, and that so he shows that he has credentials. He's not just anybody. He knows what he's talking about.
What did you know about Halyna Hutchins?
I knew nothing about her until Joel said to me, I got her.
So when he responds immediately, that comes across as believable. It came spontaneous, with a bit of a head shake, and he also doesn't stare at the interviewer. He's looking away thoughtfully. So some parts are believable. Of course, the question is if one can act like that. He's a great actor.
She was fantastic. Loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired.
Oh, God. The music. The music, man. So we see that this was a fake cry because there are no tears. So here we know it was an act, and the music is supporting the idea that this is just a movie production. My theory is that he wouldn't be able to pull off this act if he would just lean back and mirror the interviewer. He would be very calm and describe the events of that day. But he doesn't want to do that. So he acts like he just came from the scene of the accident or the shooting, and he's completely emotional. And then he ran into the studio and gave his interview. But there are, months in between.
Sorry.
No tears.
But admired by everybody who worked with her.
That was the first time you met?
First time I met Halyna, yeah.
What was...
So again, Alex responded immediately. So under normal circumstances, this would look believable.
Compositions of shots in which you were shooting.
Again, this is all dramatic language. He's just storytelling. He's painting a particular picture of him and his relationship and how wonderful she was. He's trying to influence the public's opinion.
These beautiful tableaus of the West. She had that intensity. She knew that the clock was the enemy, and we have to move forward.
The clock is the enemy. So that's a good movie script, yeah? So he's using dramatic language again.
He said, because we have some issues here. I said, such as? And he said, my men need a better hotel room.
So I think here he borrows some of his acting skills. So how he brings this across with some dry humor and the dramatic pauses, especially when you go to the movie The Edge, which he mentions later. He uses some of these skills in that movie, actually. So this is again an indication that either when he plays that he's essentially playing himself, or here that he's borrowing ideas from these movies where he also played the villain and comes across as a nice guy for most of the part of the movie.
He didn't say anything about anything else. He goes, my men need better hotel rooms. I said, well, we're leaving, we're wrapping. Will you be here tomorrow? He said, yes. Because what I was about to do, which I've done on any number of films and TV projects, was to give more of my salary back to the production to pay for X.
Classic. So he's painting himself as a good guy.
The amount of care, these are people who are professionals who have really good jobs in a field they love. And I looked.
Okay, so here we see again it's a well-rehearsed movie production because here was a cut. So there's a lot of editing here. So here immediately he goes towards the crying. So here he pulls it off with some actual tears.
I looked at all these people and I see how hard they work. They're so hardworking and they're so conscientious. and you're around people, and you're part of one of the great collaborative processes in the world, movie making.
Cheesy and manipulative.
Everyone moving like a watch to get everything done.
Dramatic language.
And when you kind of, I don't make that many movies anymore, because movie making demanded that I travel, and I didn't want to leave my family.
Oh my God.
All these movies I made, I stayed home. I didn't want to go. If I went away, I went away for a week. To leave my family for 4 weeks and go shoot this movie, that was a big deal. And I'm sitting on this.
So here we see even the interviewer tearing up slightly, but it doesn't mean, of course, it's real. I mean, people tear up in movie theaters. It's just a good performance by Alec Baldwin. That's all it says.
Because I used to love to make movies. I did.
Fantastic. So he's portraying himself as a caring family man with a dream who loves to make movies.
I worked with people once. I was going to do the movie The Edge. And they called me and said they got Tony Hopkins to do the film. What do you make of it?
Yeah, looking for you here.
And I started sobbing. I just started sobbing because I thought, oh God, I'm going to have a chance to work with this guy.
Any chance you could go easy on me?
When they cast me in It's Complicated with Meryl, I thought, I'm going to get to go make a movie with her.
It's a poor innocent actor. So we see here lots of manipulation. Oh my God.
You know, sorry. You know, people, they have their dreams. No matter how old you are, you have your dreams.
Dreams of an aging actor. Poor actor.
But we kept doing this. And so then I said to her, now in this scene, I'm going to cock the gun. And I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
Also very classic. So now he's blaming the victim for being shot. He just followed directions.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you know.
It's also very important. He didn't pull the trigger. Of course, there are different ways to shoot a gun. Pulling the trigger is one of them. So he is then not guilty because he didn't pull the trigger. That's the message.
Never pulled the trigger.
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them. Never. That was the training that I had. You don't point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger. Never take a gun and go click, 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 click. Because even though it's incremental, you damage the firing pin on the gun if you do.
So that's completely irrelevant. He's just adding little facts to portray himself as being knowledgeable and expert.
Don't do that. She goes down. I thought to myself, did she faint?
Okay, he described earlier it was a loud bang, and then he thinks she fainted. Doesn't make any sense.
The notion that there was a live round in that gun did not dawn on me till probably 45 minutes to an hour later.
Okay, I mean, this is so unbelievable. I'm sure if he shot her, there would be blood everywhere. And, you know, the bullet went through her and hit the screenwriter and director behind her. And he screamed. That was clearly a shot, and he must have realized this in a fraction of a second. So that's completely unbelievable.
Literally lifted off. We were all glued to that process outside.
That's a thinking pause. A long dramatic pause. Fantastic. I mean, that's pretty good. Pretty good acting.
What amazes me is how many rounds of bullets do you believe have been fired on the sets of movies and TV shows in the last 75 years?
No idea.
Right. It could even be above 1 billion.
So this was again a well-rehearsed part. So he has these little facts in his mind, and he's using them for his answer. So he did this also in the previous interview, Right It's a Road, which I also covered. So he has these little bits prepared, which make it look like a freak accident, very unlikely accident, but accidents can happen.
Do you feel guilt?
No. I feel that there is. I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Again, the answer relatively fast and spontaneous, and he didn't look at the interviewer to ask for permission. So that came across as believable. So he might well think that he's not responsible. However, there was a bit of a stutter. So, and he does look more nervous and sweaty at this moment. I do think this is all rehearsed and played. And, you know, here his true emotions comes through a bit. So, in summary, based on the timing of his responses, how spontaneous they came. He neither intended to shoot her, nor feels responsible for her death. Also, even that could be faked if he's cold-hearted enough, and he could make him believe that he's just acting a role. So even if he didn't do it intentionally, with this interview he certainly tries to influence the public opinion prior to start of his trial, and said he's gonna plead not guilty, and that's already manipulative and signs of a narcissist, an egomaniac. So we see some classic techniques here. So first of all, the main red flag for me was that he didn't mirror the interviewer in this tough situation. So this shows he's self-absorbed, he has his own agenda, signs of a narcissist in my opinion. And he only could pull it off because he was sitting at the edge of his seat. He had to be in this agitated mood. He also painted himself as a good guy, selfless, giving money away, wanting to be with his family. Furthermore, he cried, or he tried to cry, but there were no tears, especially in the beginning. Further evidence for acting was that he used little phrases and little motifs from the movie The Edge, where he also played the villain, but who's disguising it for a long time. I mentioned already there was lots of editing. There was dramatic effects with music, pauses, the phrases he used, the pictures he painted. He paints himself as a victim. At the same time, he's distancing himself from the crime. So all in all, a very staged event. That's it for today. Many thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to reading your comments, how you view it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and talk to you next time. Bye.